Goldman for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're here today ostensibly to fund the Department of Homeland Security through a partisan reconciliation bill that intentionally and very clearly bypasses any cooperation with Democrats. I want to talk for a minute about what is actually in this bill, which is pretty remarkable. First of all, 2/3 of the funding in this bill goes to the border wall. Now, you can make arguments about the border wall all you want. Obviously, we know it's a pet project of the president. Would it be better if we had a border wall to keep the border safe? Probably. But is it really the most effective use of $46 billion? Of course not, because not included in here is any funding for the actual effective methods of keeping the border secure. We live in a technological world right now where building a wall, where we've seen people scale it very easily, where we've seen it fall down because of the wind, is a relic from the 1950s that should not be what our government is spending $46 billion on. But worse, let's talk about what is not in this bill. There is no money for emergency management for FEMA. Now, this is not a partisan issue. Red districts suffer from natural disasters certainly as much or more as blue districts. And I can assure you, to my Republican colleagues, that when your district gets a flood or a tornado or a hurricane, you are going to be coming to FEMA begging for money. And I don't want to hear a single word from any of my Republican colleagues about where is FEMA when they need emergency management support. Because you are voting for a bill that includes nothing for money that you will need, and you will need it. You are being short-sighted. But do not worry, there is money for FEMA. There is money for FEMA, $300 billion. You know what that's for? For Donald Trump to play golf. $300 million to reimburse local law enforcement for presidential protection related to activities by the president. $300 million. Donald Trump has played golf 24 out of his first 99 days. That is a quarter of the days. So you are funding a bill that does not give any money for natural disasters, that does not repay towns, cities, states for the tremendous amount of money that they have paid out for our immigration system to operate? Nope. And that's red districts too. But we are going to make sure Donald Trump can play golf, because that's where our $300 million of FEMA money should go to. It's a disgrace. And it's a disgrace that none of my Republican colleagues will speak up against this money for golf, against the obvious and egregious due process violations. I know you. I know you are good people. I know you care about due process. You care about the rule of law. And I know in your private moments, when you think about Kilmar Abregu Garcia, and you see that the administration admitted that he was wrongly deported and sent to a prison in El Salvador, that you know that the president should simply correct the mistake. Bring him back home so he can go through the proper court system. When are you going to speak publicly? When are you going to speak out for simple due process, which is the bedrock of our country? because now it's going from Kilmar Abregu to American citizens, and who knows when it will be next. Donald Trump's not listening to me, but he will listen to you all. And I urge you to speak up for the good of our Constitution.
Gentleman's
and our
time has
country.
expired. I now recognize Mr. Swalwell for 5 minutes.